pimple patches, which are like a lifesaver. But yeah, I just get like these random patches, you know, occasionally it'll come up and then it'll just disappear. It's so weird.
These things, like these actives like retinol, vitamin C, and like AHAs, BHAs, all of these things make your skin extra sensitive.
Yep.
Especially to sun. So that's why there's a big emphasis on wearing sunscreen every day and touching up.
It's that white cast, and that's what I really hate about sunscreen. And I think Bondi Sands did that to me. Left the white cast, and it was very oily. It just didn't really work. Taylor Swift, she's like making waves everywhere, especially right now in Australia. Were you ever planning on going to the show? Yeah. And it's crazy, like she does so many songs. She performs so many like songs. And you're like, how do you have so much energy? Like she's literally just a couple of years older than me.
She's a solo artist, right? She's not a band or anything like that. It's just she performs by herself.
When Taylor Swift is in town, the rest of the world needs to shut down.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's gonna happen.
She's shaken hands with Mombi or something, and she swore that she's not gonna wash her hand. Oh my god.
They would just kiss. And that was like for us, we were like, oh god.
It's like magic.
Yeah, so we used to always borrow dancing books.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we record and you listen. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. May we continue to learn, share, and grow together.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Brown Girls Down Under. I hope you've been enjoying the podcast, the last few episodes of the podcast, so welcome back to a new episode. Hi Shinali, how have you been?
Hi Dash, I've been good, busy, but I just wanted to, before we talk about our week, I just wanted to share a funny story regarding our name, Brown Girls Down Under. So my mom called me this afternoon, and they know, my mom and dad know that we do our recording for the podcast on Saturdays, or Fridays or Saturdays. So my mom called me to tell me that when she and my dad were in the car, they had heard the song Brown Girls in the Ring, or Brown Girl in the Ring, you know, that song, that really old song. And my dad has got super excited and he's been like, oh, isn't that Shinali's podcast?
Wait, did they think that it was the song?
No, they were kind of like he was like, oh, was it kind of inspired from that song?
Oh,
you know, he just found it very amusing, because I don't think he's ever kind of heard anyone refer to themselves as brown girls. Like that's a new concept to him. So he was just like, oh, is that from the song kind of thing? He's so cute. So my mom called me this afternoon to tell me that, just laughing her head off. I know, it was so funny. But yeah, that is my side of the story regarding the name. How have you been? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a very mediocre week. I think it was very hot on site this week. I think on Tuesday it was like 42 degrees. Yeah. And I thought my skin would like peel off because it was so hot. Yeah, but then after that, I think after like Wednesday, Thursday, it kind of cooled down. It was mostly cloudy after that. So I don't mind it being like 32, 34 degrees if it's cloudy. But if it's like 42 with like a lot of sun,
girl, I know. I live in Queensland.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. I was going to ask you also, like, because Queensland weather, I would say, is a bit more similar to Sri Lankan weather than like Melbourne or Adelaide. Yeah. And it's a little bit more humid than the rest of the states.
Not a little, very, yes.
Yeah, so when you travel from Brisbane to Sri Lanka, do you feel a big difference?
I think Sri Lanka is more humid, if that's even possible, because Brisbane is quite humid. But then I think Brisbane is the worst in summer, which is only like 3-4 months. Like the humidity the rest of the year is not as bad as the summer. Okay. So if I were to travel in summer, it probably wouldn't be much of a difference. But in the rest of the rest of the seasons, if I were to travel to Sri Lanka, it is, I would notice a
Yeah.
difference. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, I wonder if Shonali feels like a big change of like the environment
It
when she moves
feels,
to.
it still feels like home, like both of them feel like home
Yeah,
because it's not
of
a
course.
huge, like, say if I were to come back to like minus degree weather or something, that would be a massive
Mm.
change. But I don't have that. It's just, I kind of ease into the same kind of weather. So it's all right. You can tell, like, by my hair, it's very frizzy. And this is all
Yeah,
the humidity. This is what the humidity does to me. So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens. Like even though it's not like as humid as Brisbane in Adelaide, even in summer, like my hair gets very frizzy.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Whereas in winter, it gets very flat,
Yeah.
like very flat. Yeah, I don't know,
I just
but
don't know
yeah.
what flat hair is because my hair is just a constant frizz ball. I don't think I've ever
But it's
had
good
flat hair.
though. That it's good that you got a bit of volume, so that's like
No,
bouncy. You don't
it's,
feel like your hair, especially when you have thin hair.
yeah,
It's like and it's like stuck to your I don't know
your scalp,
scalp. Yeah,
I
it's just
suppose.
yeah. It's almost like you've got no hair, but
Pros and cons, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. Sight has been yeah. It's been the work has been very normal, but I feel like my skin has like become I don't know. It's breaking out on like all the weird spots
Right.
ever since I've been on set. But I think it's also because the site is quite dusty and also especially
Of
in summer
course. Yeah.
you sweat a lot and
Yeah.
then if you go out the dust sort of sticks to your face and I tend to touch my face a lot which I shouldn't do and every time like there's like a little bit of texture on my face I tend to touch that area a lot which I need to stop but I feel like because I'm touching my face a lot as well I think it just keeps getting worse so I need to just do something to calm my
What is
skin
your
down
skin
but
type? Like, but I mean, for our listeners, this is something that Desh and I have in common that we both really enjoy skincare. So this is a
that's
topic
right.
anyway that we really wanted to touch on. But what is your skin like generally?
I would say it depends on the season actually. It depends on I think in summer it's very oily.
Okay.
Like it
Yeah.
I wouldn't say very oily, but it's oilier than its normal self.
Okay.
But in winter it gets very dry. But I would say in the like like skincare in the skincare world you call the T zone
Yeah.
that gets a lot like that gets very oily
Right.
whereas everything like under the chin or the cheek area that's like normally very dry
Right.
so I would say dry like combination skin is
Yeah.
what I would say. What about you?
My skin has always been very dry. Like, even in summer, like, I
Oh,
sweat a lot. My face sweats a lot, but it's
yeah.
quite dry. Because I've always had, like, skin problems since I was young, like eczema and things like that. And that usually is connected to dry skin.
Yeah.
But I have actually been breaking out as well. Like, I don't think you can see, there's like a little patch here that I've got like 4 pimples that I've covered it up with pimple patches, which are like a lifesaver. But yeah, I just get like these random patches, occasionally it'll come up and then it'll just disappear. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But I found like a lot of dairy, like things like whey protein and too much dairy sometimes triggers that. So that is something that I'm trying to keep under control.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I don't know if my skin's acting up because I constantly keep changing
Touching.
environments as
Okay, that
well.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I travel a lot and yeah, so the environment changes a lot and then I don't know. I don't think I've paid that much attention to how my skin reacts when I eat certain foods. Maybe I should.
Right,
Maybe that
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that affects the skin a lot.
It
But
does, yeah.
yeah.
Because a few years ago, actually, I went through this phase where I was really into soy milk, and I think I mentioned this on a few episodes ago. Soy sometimes messes with my body, and soy milk specifically. So I just started drinking soy milk. I really liked the taste, so I was drinking it, and then I noticed like my skin would break out so badly. Like I had proper like cheeks full of acne. It was so bad. My skin has never been like that before. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on because I was like, I've stopped dairy. why am I breaking out? And I think I continued drinking soy milk for about 2 years. And that's for that long, I had just terrible acne. I mean, that destroyed my self confidence, honestly. Like, I stopped taking pictures, I stopped, going anywhere because it really messed with me. And then I think on Facebook, I read like a random comment of someone saying, oh, they stopped soy milk and they noticed such a big difference on their skin. And within like 2 weeks of me stopping soy milk, I noticed a huge difference. Like my acne
Wow.
completely cleared up. So I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not trying to fearmonger soy or anything because I know soy has a lot of benefits. But for some reason, it just didn't agree with my body. So I just
But
stopped taking it.
was there a reason why you stopped taking normal dairy?
Well, I'm not lactose intolerant, but sometimes too much milk hurts my tummy. So I was just trying to cut it out or like, phase it out a little bit. That's why.
But have you always had that, or is
No,
it
I think it's
something that
after I
you've...
moved here, which is weird. It's
Yeah.
after I moved here that happens. But I can have like yogurt, ice cream, cheese, that kind of thing. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But when I drink anything with too much milk in it, it hurts my stomach. So now, like for the last couple of years, I've been having oat milk, which is like my favorite milk of like all
Yeah,
time.
that's what MJ has as
Yeah,
well,
I've
because
seen his vlogs. Yeah.
yeah, he suddenly, I think the last few years, developed like an intolerance to dairy.
Right.
I wouldn't say like he doesn't have like major health issues, but it's like he just gets he gets bloated,
Yeah,
and
same
then
here.
he's just a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think that happens with me too. But so I used to, like, I drink milk powder, like how
Okay.
we drink milk in
Back
Sri
home.
Lanka.
Yeah.
But I used to have like a morning tea and an afternoon tea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel like, I wouldn't be bloated or feel uncomfortable when I had my morning tea, but I think after I have my afternoon tea, I think I can feel a bit of like, I haven't consciously thought about it, but after MJ spoke about like how he gets bloated and all that, I kind of like paid some attention to it, and then I feel like, oh, maybe I'm bloated too, but then I don't
Yeah.
really care. I'm just like, suck it up.
Isn't it
But
crazy
maybe I
though?
shouldn't.
Like certain things that we had as children that was so normalized, and like now
Yeah.
as adults, when we start paying attention to it, like it really, we're just like, oh, so this is why I would go to the toilet after drinking milk or like having Milo or
Yeah.
like something. And that at that time we were just like, oh, that's just my body. And now we're just like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, maybe there was more to it. Because my best friend's daughter, she's like 7, she's lactose intolerant. And she only found that out recently because of, there's so much talk about dairy intolerances and things like that. I feel like growing up, we didn't even know that was a thing because milk was so
Yeah.
embedded into our culture that we never
Yeah.
even imagined that was a thing, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you're allergic to, like in terms of food?
Food wise, not that I know of at the moment. I'm sure things will come up as I grow older, the privileges of
It's
getting
yeah.
older.
I feel like it's just like, I've never thought that I would be intolerant to something, or I would get an allergic reaction or something. I didn't know that you could develop an intolerance as you grow older.
Yes.
Yeah, that was new to me, but
It
I thought
is.
like if you're allergic to someone, you would be allergic to that product or whatever from like the day you're born or whatever like
Did you
that.
realize you just said if you're allergic to someone? Are you trying to say something?
Oh,
or-
I mean, I fully agree that you can be allergic to people too.
Exactly.
It's just the vibe. It's like, no, I don't think. I think there's a lot of resistance
So the more
going
you
on. So
go,
I just
the
tend
older
to
you get allergic to food, to people.
people, just vibes in general.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what do you
so
do
I
with your
tend-
skin? Just if you're having a bad skin day or something, what is your skincare regime like?
Well, I've recently, well, not recently. I think I've been like double cleansing for a while now, for
Right.
maybe like an year. I used to try, like I tried this, I started double cleansing with a balm.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Okay.
the
Yeah,
I think
cleansing
like
balm.
a year ago, balms are like all the rage.
Yeah,
They were
exactly.
very
Yeah.
famous. So I started with a balm and it was really good. But then it's just a little bit messy because you have to put your hand in the tub and like
Don't you get a
I
spatula
just
with it, or?
you do, but then you never get I think the new balms have like a place to hold the spatula,
Ah,
but
okay.
the balm that I bought when I first bought a balm didn't have like a place to put the spatula, so I would
Right.
like yeah, it's just a bit messy. So now I'm using like a cleansing oil
Oh, okay.
with like a pump,
Yeah.
which I really like. So I that definitely helps. And I've recently also this year I've started icing my face. Obviously
Oh,
not when
nice.
I'm on site, but when I'm in Adelaide,
Yeah.
I ice my face. Um, I think like I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews about it. Some people say you're not supposed to put ice directly on your skin, but then I see people doing, ice baths and things like
I've
that to
seen
your
Kendall
face where you
Jenner
stuck.
doing that. The
Yeah, I
ice
see a lot
facial.
of celebrities doing like they stuck their face inside a bowl full of ice and water, and and let me tell you, it definitely feels good. Like it's
It would
painful
wake
at
you
the
up,
moment.
right? Yeah.
It would, and
Yeah.
then so I've been doing, but and I've seen this well, not a device, but it's called an ice cube, or I can't remember the name, but it's like this big pill like cube
That's the one that Kendall
where
Jenner was using. Yeah.
yeah. So and then you can put like green tea, like you can make ice out of like green tea or anything, and they say that it's good for your face. But then I see all these dermatologists saying you're not supposed to
They're
put
debunking
ice
it.
directly on your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it definitely does feel good. It like gives you like the blood rushes to your face when
Yeah.
you do that. So
Yeah.
it like definitely feels great. But I don't know if it'll calm my skin down, but I've just been using a lot of toners as well. I
Right.
don't know if toners are scam, but I don't know. I just like
Yeah.
using them, so I use them. What
Yeah.
about you? Do you use a lot of toners?
No, I don't actually. My skincare has changed over the years. I think there was a period that I was so into skincare that I was like buying, using so many. This is when I was having that whole acne flare up. I think that's when I became really invested in skincare because I was like, I need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
But then when my skin started clearing up, and I think over like the last year maybe and this year, my skincare has been super minimal. Like I don't wear like face makeup on a daily basis. So I just
Yeah.
use micellar water to just, get rid of sunscreen and oils and all that.
Yeah.
But my skincare has been super basic. This is okay, I'm gonna say this with a big disclaimer, and I don't want anyone to take this advice and do it without consulting a doctor because it can be
Yeah.
really dangerous. But I've started recently using tretinoin. Do you know about tretinoin?
I do. And I've seen a lot of, I don't think these are Australian creators, but I've seen a lot of American creators saying, because I think in America you can take tretinoin without being prescribed.
Oh, okay.
Like you can get it over the
Over the
counter, but
shelf, yeah.
I see a lot of American creators saying, like if you're not using tretinoin, then if you're using just, so for anyone who doesn't know what tretinoin is, it's a retinol, it's a
That's
vitamin
right. Yeah,
A,
yeah.
and then vitamin A comes in
Small forms,
retinols, retinaldehyde, or
yeah.
like I don't know if that's I don't know if I'm pretty accurate in that term, but it's essentially the chemical complexes where I think I can't remember how it actually works, but it breaks down, and then I think the chemical compositions that's broken down to the last step, that's when it gets absorbed to the
Absorbed,
skin,
yeah.
absorbs to the skin. But I think tretinoin is the most is a higher percentage
It
or the
is.
most active
Yeah. It's like the
form of
purest form
retinol.
of, vitamin
Retinol,
A.
yeah.
Yeah, so it is very controversial. That's why, like I said, it comes with a massive disclaimer because the Australian sun is quite strong. And generally, with
Yeah.
retinols and I mean, with a lot of skincare like vitamin C and things like that, you have to use sunscreen. Even without it, you have to use sunscreen. It's a
Yeah.
non negotiable in Australia. But when it
Yeah.
comes to retinol or
Using these
tretinoin,
actives.
exactly, active
Yeah.
ingredients, you need to be super careful with it. But what tretinoin basically does is from what I read and the research I've done, it basically says it replaces any other kind of serums or actives or anything. So it's basically like a
Oh.
one stop go to product that you can use to kind of
Yeah.
replace everything else. So we
Hmm.
started, like Ryan and I both use it. So we got a prescription for it from a doctor. Some doctors don't prescribe it. Our doctor did. And obviously, he gave us a lot of, advice on how to use it and everything. But basically, it is said to, get rid of wrinkles, of acne scarring, discoloration, basically everything. And it's just a cream. So when I
Mm.
started using it, I think this was about 6 months ago, maybe. Everyone I said it to, they were like, "Oh, you need to be very careful. Make sure
Yeah.
you use a very small amount. You need to use heaps of sunscreen." But
Mm.
I was very lucky that I didn't have any reactions, and
Mm.
as someone with sensitive skin, I didn't have any reaction to it. So initially, I would
Mm.
use the sandwich method, is what they call it, which is
Yeah.
basically like a moisturizer and then the
Rise up.
tret on top and
Oh,
then more moisturizer.
moisture.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I did that for a
Yeah.
while, but then I stopped doing that and I still had no reaction. I've been very lucky. I've had absolutely no reaction to it.
Mm.
But I do use it maybe like twice a week or thrice a week. I've got like a little calendar that I tick off dates.
Oh, so you don't use it every
No,
day?
you can't use it. You're not meant to use it every
Ah.
day. It can,
Okay.
yeah. So Ryan actually did use it every day, because he thinks he knows everything. So he he used it. Even me, despite me telling him, he used it every day, and he got like rashes and things like that. So like
Yeah.
some peeling, which I was very lucky that I didn't get that. But now I just
But
use
that
it.
simply means like the ingredient is working, but maybe it's not the speed that you want it to work
Exactly,
at.
yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
it could like damage the barrier, and once
that's
your
right.
skin barrier is damaged, it's really hard to like repair
Repair
it.
it.
Exactly. So that's why, and now that it's summer as well, like, there was a lot of talk about you need to be very careful when you're using
Yeah.
tretinoin because obviously the sun is a lot stronger. So I'm very good with my sunscreen. I've got multiple sunscreens in every bag I have. I touch up during the day. At home, I wear sunscreen. I'm very, very,
Oh.
very big on sunscreen. So I think because of that reason, touch wood, it has worked fine so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, if any of you are wanting to try it from what I'm saying, please do your own research. I just don't want to give you advice and then have something happen.
Yeah. But how do you just go to your doctor and say that you want to use tretinoin, and then he'll just look at your like do a little consultation and see if you
Yes.
actually need tretinoin?
Yes, basically. So it was Ryan who actually went to the to the GP to get it, and he just gave a few reasons. And particular doctor, was fine with it. But I've heard, like, I'm on this group on Facebook which is called like tretinoin users or something, and they basically say a lot of their doctors didn't give them a prescription. So some doctors are very hesitant with it. Thankfully, our doctor was fine. So yeah, it's just if you plan on using it, make sure that you do a lot of research.
Yeah, so as I said, I think I've seen a lot of American creators say like, oh, if you're not using tretinoin, if you're using some other retinol, that there's no point of using it, because if you're not using your tretinoin, you're not the everything else is just, I don't know, basic, or everything else doesn't work. But then I feel like I've been wanting to use it, but I just haven't, like, I know that in Australia you have to be prescribed to use it.
Yeah,
But I wasn't sure if I did you go to a GP, or did you just go to a dermatologist to
to
do
a
that?
GP. You can get a prescription from a
Ah,
GP, but they give you a very
right.
small dosage, which is I think the best thing to start on. And
That's right.
we plan on using that very small dosage for
Mm,
like a percentage for a while,
yeah.
and then later on, as we get older, if we need it, we'll go on to something else. But right
Mm.
now, I think this works for us, so
Yeah.
we'll
Now
keep
that
using it.
like, it makes me think, like, I've taken a break from using retinol. I used retinol, I think, for maybe a year and a half now. I've been using it. And then I've tried a few different products of retinol, but then I've finished my last. I think I tried the L'Oreal, the moisturizer with retinol, with, like,
Oh,
the
okay.
pump.
Oh, yes, the pump one.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I used that, and it was, I think, It was okay. I wouldn't say it's the best one I've
Best.
used. I've used the drunk elephant one before, and I think that's not like that's like a vegan version or a plant version of retinol vitamin
Oh
A,
yes,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah, that was okay, but I think it's just like very expensive for what
It
it is, I
is.
feel
It
like.
is. Yes.
And I saw that Kiehl's has a new retinol as well, and that's again, retinols are very expensive.
They are.
But yeah, I've been wanting to try this Medic 8. Have you heard of the brand?
Medicate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've been wanting to try their retinol because they have very like a big range of retinol percentage with like different percentages like 0.3%, 0.6%, 1%, and so on. So I've been wanting to try that, but I've just taken a break from it, and maybe that's why I'm breaking out. Now that it makes me think, I was like, is that why? Because what retinol essentially does is like increase the
Cell turnover.
skin cell turnover.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when, like you said, even when I first started, I started with like once a week when I first started, and then I did like 3 times a week, and then I did every other day, and then I eventually started using it every day. But I guess you can do it with retinol, but not so much with tretinoin
No
because
tretinoin.
it's a concentrate.
It's very
And
potent. Yeah.
yeah, and these things like these actives like retinol, vitamin C, and like AHAs, BHAs, all of these things make your skin extra sensitive,
Sensitive. Yep.
especially to sun. So that's why there's a big emphasis on wearing sunscreen every day and touching up.
Yes.
What are some of your, because as people with brown skin, not every sunscreen that's out there works for you.
us. That's true.
What are some of your like
Go-to
favorite sunscreens?
Honestly, I feel like Ryan and I have been through. Like I say Ryan and I because he's as obsessed with skincare as I am. So I feel like we are
Oh,
one.
that's nice.
He started because of me, okay? Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've converted him to the dark side. So he's
Yeah.
like more into it than I am now at this point.
But that's good. I like it when boys take care of their
Yeah,
skin.
he goes a bit too much. Like like daily hair treatments, skin treatments, which even I don't do that,
But that's so cool. I'm so proud of him.
It is. Yeah, I'm proud of it. I mean, from the guy I met like 8 years ago, I mean, I hope he doesn't listen to this because he's going to be so mad that I said it on the podcast. But I remember on our first date, he had like crusty lips, and I was like,
Oh.
I literally put lip balm on him on our first date, and he was like, and I asked him about it later on, and he was like, I was like, what is she doing? Why is she putting lip balm on? But that's how bad it was. So he's come a long way. This is great.
From crusty lips to glowy skin.
To gorgeous, beautiful, glowing skin. So I am proud of him. But yeah, so we've gone through a lot of sunscreens, and like not a lot of them really work for us. Like you say, it leaves that white cast, and that's what I really hate about
Yeah.
sunscreen. And I
Yeah.
think Bondi Sands did that to me, left the white cast, and it was very oily. It just didn't really work for me.
Is that the white tube?
Yes.
Or the blue one?
The white
Okay.
one, yeah. And even things
Okay.
like Neutrogena, like the basic, over the counter, like the
Yeah.
shelf generic brands, none of those really worked for me. And then I started using the Korean one. What is
Yes.
the brand? I'm sure you know which one it is. The white tube.
Oh, the beauty of
Beauty of
Joseon.
Joseon.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but yeah.
So I used that for a
Everyone
long
raves
time.
about it.
Yeah, but I've stopped using it now because there was a bit of talk about how that is kind of geared towards the Korean market, and the Korean sun is very different to the Australian sun.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I completely stopped using it after that because I was like, I don't want to damage my skin or anything, and with me using Tret. So now I just basically use just the Cancer Council sunscreen, which
I think that's what I started with. I
Yeah.
think when I'm not a person who used sunscreen when I was in Sri Lanka.
No, me
I didn't
neither.
even use a moisturizer because I hate that.
The
Because in
oily
Sri Lanka
feeling.
it's humid, you
Yeah.
sweat, and then like after you apply moisturizer and then you sweat, it's like so slippery
So
and it's just so
yucky. I
uncomfortable.
know.
Yeah, I like being dry. So I never used any moisturizer or anything, just
Yeah.
used a face wash. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But of course, when you come to Australia, there's a big emphasis on sunscreen because the sun is quite, what do you say? How do you say this? It's quite bad in Australia.
quite
That's why
strong,
people
yeah.
say, yeah, it's quite strong, and that's why people say Australian sunscreens are really good
Really good.
because
It's the best in the
it's
world.
meant to, it's meant to combat that strong sun. So, and then I started using sunscreen. I think I started with the Cancer Council one as well. I think went through, but a lot of them, I think I tried the Bondi Sands and then the Cancer Council one first and then the Bondi Sands. But my biggest thing was, of course, there's this issue with the white cast as well. But
Yeah.
the big issue was with how it made me like my eyes burn and then
Yes.
that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I moved into Korean sunscreens. I tried the Bior or Bior or whatever.
Biore,
That one. And now I'm just stuck with this Innisfree
Yeah.
sunscreen. That's just the love of my life. It's just amazing. It's not oily. It's like a gel.
Is it the blue one? Like the blue?
Yeah, the blue and
Yeah.
white tube.
Blue and
but I
white,
wish
yeah.
it's like it comes in this tiny tube, and I wish they made like a massive
I
like
know. It's quite
bottle of it.
expensive
But
for such a small amount of product.
yeah,
isn't
it is. It's like $18.
Yeah. So I used
Yeah.
the stick version of that one.
Yeah.
I think it's like Isn't Tree or something. So I
Yeah,
used
yeah,
the
yeah.
stick version of that to school because I don't have time to
Yeah.
take it and apply it. So
Yeah.
I just use the stick at school. But yeah, Korean sunscreen, like I said, I'm just a bit wary about it because I'm on Tret.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
yeah.
it's still pretty good.
But do you think like there's of course I've heard of this, but I think for you to be able to sell any product in Australia, that has to be approved by like some sort of board,
That
like a
is true.
medical
They are
board or
quite
something.
strict
So
with it, yeah.
if people are allowed to like sell that in Australia, I'm sure like they have the right ingredients. It's just a matter of like maybe you need to reapply it more when
often.
you're in Australia.
That's
Yeah,
true.
something like that. But I've noticed the stick version of stick, and so I think we've like nowadays we've come a long way for like in our sunscreens, like it back in the day used to be like this white tube that with like a white paste.
Yeah, exactly.
And we didn't have as many options, but now we have so many
have so
options
many.
where
It's great.
you have sunscreen powders that you can
And
apply on top of
sprays.
makeup.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got a lot of options these days, but I've used the sun stick as well, but I think that's not the same as the sunscreen like tube. It's a bit oilier,
It is.
I
It is a bit
think,
oily,
but
yeah.
but at the end of the day, like it serves its purpose.
It
so
does the
that's-
job, I know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about what I look after 12 o'clock on a school day. So I'm just like, if
Yeah.
it protects my skin, like, that's all. I
That's
just want to
right.
survive and get
Yeah.
home. So that's okay. But yeah, so
Yeah,
moral
but-
of the story is make sure you use your sunscreen, especially in Australia.
Sunscreen.
Anywhere in the
If you
world,
use-
but especially in
Yeah,
Australia.
if you use nothing else, just use your face wash.
Exactly.
And use your sunscreen.
Sunscreen.
That is all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on from that very interesting topic of skincare.
I think we can talk all day about
Honestly,
skincare.
we can have a whole podcast on just skincare, which I don't mind. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to another topic, which is very different, but still interesting. Taylor Swift, she's like making waves
Tay.
everywhere, especially right now
Yeah.
in Australia. Were you ever planning on
She's in
going to the show?
town.
Yeah. Were you ever planning on going or?
I don't think. Look, I obviously love her. I
Yeah.
like her music, and I love her. But I wouldn't say looking at her fandom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like
You're not a Swiftie?
I am a Swiftie, but I don't think I can relate to like a diehard Swiftie because
Yeah,
they
same here.
are
I'm the
obsessed
same.
with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Like I obviously love her music and all of that, but I think I more than her music, I really like what she's done and the influence she's had on everyone, and
Yeah.
I just absolutely adore that. But yeah, I think I would say I'm a Swiftie, but Yeah, Swifty's in town now.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's doing, I think, 7 or 9
I have
concerts in
honestly, I have
Australia.
no idea. I was never really planning on going for the show. Like,
Yeah.
I love her. I absolutely do. But I love the old school Taylor Swift.
Me too.
Like the
I
country
loved her when.
version.
Yes. I think I became a fan when I listened to like Love Story.
Love Story,
Or
yeah.
You Belong with Me.
Teardrops
or-
on My Guitar, which is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Yeah, that
White
kind of stuff.
Horse.
Exactly,
Yeah, like
that
the.
stuff. That's when I feel like that's when I was like really into her. But then
Yeah.
now I feel like it's a cult, like the whole Taylor Swift
It
thing.
is.
And I mean, I love her, so I'm not mad about it. But I've got a cousin
Yeah.
who is like in her early 20s, and she's like a die-hard Swiftie for life.
Yeah.
Like she would give her life for Taylor Swift, that kind of person.
Oh, wow.
So she asked me, she was like, "Do you want, like, if I get tickets, would you come with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, if you get tickets, I would, and I would pay for
But it's
it."
so hard to get
But I
tickets.
wasn't gonna stay in line for it. There is no way I'm staying in line for anyone, you know. So I think
Yeah.
she stayed in online line or whatever, I don't know what it's
Yeah.
called, for like
A virtual line.
virtual line, yes, yeah, for like 9 hours, and she didn't get a ticket, and she was so heartbroken. And now I just keep sending her like videos and memes of Taylor Swift being like, "Are you crying? Are you sad?" But yeah, I mean, I know people who stayed
Yeah.
in line for like 10 minutes and got tickets. And I know people
Yeah.
like her who've been in line for like 9 hours and got nothing.
Mm.
So honestly, I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
man, like people love her.
But I think I really love her journey because, like, you know, back in the day, every time she released an album, whether it's about her love life or like, she used to get so much
Absolutely,
hate.
yeah.
Yeah, and despite all of that, she's
Yeah.
thrived, and the influence she has had on so many people, and the businesswoman that she is, and
Absolutely.
like she writes her own music, she produces her own music. Like that's a massive job and a massive accomplishment.
And I actually watched
know,
the
that's
eras,
crazy.
like the movie. I don't know if you watched it.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, so in that, so that's basically like the concert, but a movie version of it. And it's crazy, like she does so many songs. She performs so many songs.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do you have so much energy? Like she's literally
That's
just a
right.
couple of years older than me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how, like, I would just be dead on the floor after 2 songs. You know, I don't know how she's got so much energy, but she's incredible. She's like her own
It's not
Wonder
easy,
Woman.
yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Imagine the vocal cords after like that concert and doing
Yeah.
that for 7-9
over
like
and
shows.
over and over again. And she's still so humble, which is what I love about her.
Yeah, she's just at the end of the day, you feel like she's a regular
can
girl.
relate
and
to
she's,
her.
She's a
Exactly.
she's a human, and she has the same sort of ideologies and views and thoughts like
Yeah.
as a normal
And
girl
I think
would.
she still doesn't realize how much of an impact she's made in the world and
Yeah.
how famous she is. Because I saw on the news that she had seen the crowds, because I think this is like the biggest concert she's ever performed for, which was like
Yeah.
96,000 people.
Yeah.
And she was so shocked by that. And the fact that she's so shocked by having
It's
so
like-
many people coming to say, it's
Yeah.
like, bro, like what? Like, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I never thought like Taylor Swift can, like anything can shock Taylor Swift now, because like, you know, how crazy her fans
Exactly,
are about
yeah.
her. But I think the Melbourne one was 96,000, but I think there's another concert in Sydney or somewhere that's like 106,000
Oh,
people.
wow, okay.
Yeah, so I saw that somewhere, but I don't know if that's true, but yeah, it's crazy. And the whole performance, I think, is like, because you can't, she's a solo artist, right? She's not a band or
Exactly,
anything like
yeah.
that. It's just she performs by herself. Of course, there's like backup dancers and all of that, but at the end of the day, she's the
She
main.
runs the show.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
runs the show, and just to be able to get the attention of 96,000 people and entertain 96,000, and of course the tickets aren't cheap, okay?
No.
I saw that someone's purchased like a ticket for $800, and it wasn't even, like, it was so far back.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the tickets aren't cheap, but just to be able to give everyone, like, keep everyone entertained, and
Entertained,
you know,
yeah.
that's a big responsibility, and that's a
is.
big job. And I think, you know how everyone's obsessed with Coldplay concerts
Yeah.
because, you know, it's like a very entertaining performance and
Yeah.
it's just the performance of a lifetime. You get a very good experience. I think I would say Taylor Swift concerts would be the
Absolutely,
same.
yeah. And like you
But
said,
yeah.
how she got a lot of hate when she was coming up because she would write about ex-boyfriends. But it's just so funny if it was a male artist and he went through,
Yeah.
so many relationships and wrote about, like, no one would bat an eyelid. But it's because she's a woman and she chooses to write about it. Like, good on her for not settling, right? Like,
Yeah,
why would you
exactly.
settle for a mediocre man? And she
Yeah.
clearly moved on from those and she made the best out of a bad situation.
And what's wrong with writing about a bad experience or like
Yeah.
your experience? That's all men do as well.
Yeah, and people
Like what?
relate to it, right? When you write, because
Yeah,
so many people
exactly.
have probably been through that, so they relate
Yeah.
to it. So, like, what's your problem? It's just,
But I think
oh,
it's also like a lot of hate she gets is because there's a lot of attention on her as well because she has a lot, like so many fans, because she has a lot more people obsessing over her. And then there's people who can't stand that, and that's I think
exactly.
where the hate comes from.
Like, they just have to
But
say something. But I don't know how you can hate her because she's so cute. She's
yeah,
such a
she's like the
sweetheart.
nicest person. Like, how do
Exactly.
you hate someone? I mean, not that I
Exactly.
know her personally, but
But I
I'm
feel
pretty
like
sure she's the.
I think she has that thing about her, and I think that's why a lot of people love her. It's because she's so down to earth that she makes you feel like you're her friend. And I think that's a part
Yeah.
of her business. Like, I don't think she's doing it intentionally, but it's a part of her kind of businesswoman personality where she can make you
Yeah.
relate so much to her that you feel like she's a big sister, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
that's right. I agree. I think you get big sister vibes from
Yeah.
her, and as she grow, her fans grow.
Exactly. Because she's literally like in her 30s, but she's got fans who are like 5, 6, 7 years old.
Exactly.
That's a
Yeah.
massive gap. And to keep,
It is.
or like to have such a wide fan base is just incredible,
Yeah.
you know?
I think so. I think there are so many like people, so many celebrities, so many singers who were in the same, who are like, how would you say, like not competitors, but in the same sort of era, who like Jonas Brothers, or I mean they were a big hit, or like Selena Gomez and all of these people who started off with her, but she somehow prevailed, and you know she's bigger than ever, and she
Absolutely.
keeps getting bigger
She
and
keeps
bigger.
getting
So
bigger. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's not like she's like trying super hard to
She's
stay
not.
relevant or
No,
anything.
she's
Yeah.
really not. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
And I think, yeah, and I think that's something that I love about her as well. She's not super crazy on her social media where she's
No.
like, oh, I need to do these trends and keep up with these trends and, you know, stay relevant. It's like, it's the same thing that I love about Adele as well.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I love how she just does like one album and it's like quiet for 6 years.
Yeah, true. That's pure
Yeah.
talent, right? That's when you know
Yeah,
you're
I love
really
her.
good
Now
at it.
that's a like I love Adele. So
I
if
do
she
too.
ever comes to Australia, I think I would go to a concert.
Yeah, I do.
Go
And
to her
actually,
concert.
Pink is performing in
Oh.
Brisbane this weekend. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Like, I love Pink
How does
as
anyone
well.
even compete with Taylor
I
Swift
know, that's the
concerts?
thing.
Like
I
how?
feel like her, like, I absolutely love Pink. I've always loved her, and like the way she defends women and just other artists. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's defended Taylor Swift as well at some point.
Yeah.
But it's just, I feel like her timing was so off because
Everyone's timing is off.
like
and-
when Taylor Swift is in
Yeah.
town, the rest of the world needs to shut down.
yeah, exactly.
Nothing's gonna happen.
And I saw this article or like someone's post as well, like where Taylor Swift has bought like $1 billion to Melbourne's like Australian economy
I did see that.
just by doing her concerts.
Yeah.
And as we all know, we have Formula One in Melbourne every year, and that's 1/4 of that.
Oh wow.
And that's a whole industry and a whole team of people,
That's
whereas
true.
Taylor Swift's just like
Just one person.
one person.
Yeah.
That's just crazy, the influence that she
It's amazing.
has.
And then she
Yeah.
still has the audacity to be shocked that so many people
Yeah.
love her. You know,
Sorry, what were you thinking,
yeah.
woman?
Like, I watched, like, in that era's movie, there's one point where she's playing the piano and like people keep cheering, and she's like, and I'm like,
Yeah,
girl,
like
why are you
at this
shocked?
point, like how are you amazed? How are you shocked by anything that happens? Because I
Yeah.
don't see how you're not like fully accepting anything like
That you
less
are
than this.
incredible. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Amazing. But
Taylor Swift,
yeah,
if you
good on
listen to
her.
this, we love you.
We are Swifties. But yeah, I like my favorite songs are from like the love story, You
Yeah.
Belong With Me. Like the
That's
the
why,
country
see,
era is
I'm
like
so
my
glad you
favorite.
said that, because I feel like my cousin, like I said, who is like much younger than me, she's kind of giving me, so much pain for liking the old songs. I'm like, those were I mean, I like her new music too, but I know
Yeah.
every single word to her old songs.
Yeah, and
Every
that's very
single word.
nostalgic to us because you grew
Exactly.
up listening to them. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
pretty cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
love it. Both of us are big Swifties. I think that's confirmed and
Yes.
settled now. But yeah, some of the other artists I think I was obsessed with growing up was like, I think this is like way, I think ahead or not ahead, I think before like my time, but I'm obsessed with Backstreet Boys,
Oh, okay.
Westlife.
Yeah.
I used to
I
love
know.
those
I used to love them
songs,
too.
and I still do. I still
Yeah.
play those songs, and I love it. And then
Yeah.
who else? Oh, I think I remember being. I think that was a very short period, but I was obsessed with Justin Bieber. I
Oh,
think I
okay.
was like in year 7 or 8 when I first listened to Baby. I
Baby,
think
yeah.
that's when I was like, "Oh my god, this is the
Oh
new
my God, I want to
obsession."
marry him.
Yes. But yeah, Justin Bieber was an obsession. Who else? And I remember, do you remember David Archuleta?
Yeah. He was such a
Crush.
cutie, I know.
The obsession I had over that song. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't even have a man or a crush, but I'm gonna cry over him. But yeah, I was obsessed with those. Who else? Were you like a Britney Spears fan?
I do like her. I still do like her, but I was not like a die-hard fan. But like you say, I was into
Oh,
Westlife, like truly into
yeah.
Westlife. Like I knew every single
Oh.
song. I had all their CDs on my Walkman.
Ooh. Oh, that's
The
right. We used to have
Walkman days,
CDs.
right? Oh my God, so
Yeah, 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 yeah.
nostalgic. But I loved that. I did like Justin Bieber as well, but not to a crazy extent. But I went through like my favorite genre, even to this day. My favorite genre of music is R&B. So I loved that even as I was growing up,
Yeah.
like Usher, Neo, Mario,
Yes.
like
Oh.
did you see Usher at the Super Bowl? Oh my God, how is
I
he?
didn't see the whole thing, but I saw a few clips.
Yeah,
Like,
same here.
I've never watched Super Bowl.
No,
like,
me neither. Me neither. I just
yeah,
saw
but
it like
I
on
do watch the
Instagram.
performances.
Yeah, and he's still
Yeah.
like incredible. He's so good.
I don't think he has aged at all.
He hasn't. You know what they say,
Maybe
right?
it's
Black
just
don't crack. So
that's what I was gonna say. I think maybe it's just because he's
he
black. I don't think black
definitely
people
doesn't
age.
crack. No, they don't. Yeah, like he's such a good
Yeah.
performer, and his music, love it. I love all of like
Yeah.
the whole R&B that era, like the early
Yeah.
2000s R&B. Love that.
Yeah. Do you remember Jay Sean?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh my God. I did
Yeah.
see him recently because he's still like on Instagram. He does,
Yeah.
like, he still has music, but it's not as popular as his old ones.
Yeah.
He still
Yeah.
kind of looks the same, a little bit older, of course,
Yeah.
but he does kind of look the same.
Yeah, and of course, I think Sean Paul.
Sean,
Who
Sean
else?
Paul.
Who's the bald guy? Who's the other bald guy? Oh, Pitbull.
Pitbull,
Yeah. Oh
I
my
know,
God.
right? Oh,
The
and I loved
obsession.
Enrique as well growing up.
Oh, that's
Massive
right. Yeah. Oh my
Enrique
God.
fan.
Were you in Sri Lanka when
I was
Enrique
not.
was?
I was not. I'm so
Oh.
sad because one of my friends, like a lot of my friends, went to it. And actually, it's one of my really close friends. There was this whole drama about someone going and hugging Enrique. That was one of my really close friends.
Oh wow.
I know. And I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. If I was there, I would have totally done the same thing.
Do you remember? I also agree. I think there was I think we were I was still in school when Enrique was performing in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think I was just I think I was doing O levels or even not even that, but I remember all the like older girls, they were like obsessed. They're like, oh my god, I need to go to this
Yeah.
NKK concert. But yeah,
Was it?
but
I
I
feel
also
like it
remember,
was. When was that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know that I definitely know that I was in school.
Or maybe
Oh
I was in Sri Lanka. Honestly, I don't remember. Timelines are
yeah,
just really
but
all over
I
the
also
place.
remember Mohombi.
Mohombi,
He
yeah.
oh I definitely remember that because I was in O level classes at the time, and one of the girls
Under
in
the
my class,
coconut tree.
and one of the girls had gone to his concert, and she's shaken hands with Mohombi or something,
Oh
and she
wow.
swore that
She's
she's
never
not
gonna
gonna
wash her
wash her
hand.
hand. Oh my god, that was just and I was like, how are you gonna shower? How is this practical? And she's like, I'm gonna put like a shopping bag
Oh
over my head.
god.
Oh my god, I thought it was ridiculous, but I also
Do you
like
still do you think
understand.
she's still walking around with a shopping bag?
No, 100% no. But I do remember the obsession
Yeah.
with Mohombi. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm just like, now that I think about it, it's crazy how all these people like performed in Sri Lanka, like a tiny
Yeah.
island.
I know, right? And it's crazy what a hold they had over us. I think growing up, we went through that. Like I had my entire room was just covered in posters. Like not one single space on the wall was blank. It was just covered in posters. I used to just cut up like, you know, cut their pictures from newspapers and magazines
Yeah.
and just stick it everywhere. It was just everywhere.
Yeah.
And my walls were just full of holes once I took it down because, the paint
Obviously
had
the paint came
yeah,
off.
the paint had come off. But I had
Yeah.
so many posters. I went through that. Oh, I love that. I miss that age, where it
Yeah.
just dumb problems that we had,
Yeah, but oh, that was really
great.
good. I think who else did we listen to? What else? Any other artists that you were like obsessed with? Oh, I remember. I don't know if this is. I don't know how. Still to this day, I don't know how to perform. Like how to pronounce her name. Is it Shania Twain or
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain?
Shania
Okay,
Twain,
yeah. I used to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
used to
pretty
like her.
good. I mean, she's a lot like older than us, but
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
very good musician. Yeah.
But I also remember, because in school, I remember, so you have all these, I don't know if this is like a thing that our school did, but you know how you have all these clubs in school, like you have like I don't know, mathematics club
Yeah.
or like an aviation club or
Yeah.
all these clubs. And I think a lot of the clubs in our school, a thing they did to like collect money to their clubs was like,
Yeah.
you know how after like exams you have this like a period of like 2 weeks where like, you don't study, you don't
Yeah.
learn anything, you don't have any classes or anything, where like those 2 weeks are generally spent on like paper marking or teachers coming to classes to discuss the paper, but mostly you would be free for that
Free,
period of
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And what these clubs would do in our school is like they would hire the school auditorium and they would play these movies, show
Oh,
these
nice,
movies,
okay.
and the students will have to buy tickets to go to these movies.
Ah, right, okay.
So it would be like 10 rupees or 20 rupees, like it wasn't much, but but that was a way to collect
Raise
funds
money,
to
yeah.
these clubs. But I remember they would mostly be like horror movies because the kids get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
But I remember one time they showed us A Walk to Remember.
Oh God.
Oh, the girls were obsessed with it. I
I
was
can
like, and I
imagine.
remember, yeah, and there were girls who would like go to see that over and over again, like to multiple screenings.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
but they would obviously, how like in Sri Lanka, like Sri Lankan schools are a bit more conservative, and
Yeah.
they don't show you like any kissing scenes or
Of
anything. So
course.
obviously you would like watch this in a big projector.
Yeah.
So what the teachers would do is like when there's like a kissing scene, they would put like a piece of paper over the
my
projector.
God.
Oh, it was so cringe, but yeah,
God.
that's what they do.
And talking about conservative schools in Sri Lanka, like I remember, because obviously I went to a convent, and for those of you who are not familiar with a convent, we basically are taught by nuns, like not all of them, but we have nuns who teach as well. So they're very strict, very, very strict. So the only kind of like I don't even know how to say it, but bad thing that we had was the library books in the library were the Nancy Drew books. I don't know if you were into
Oh,
Nancy Drew.
yeah, yeah,
And honestly,
yeah.
the only thing that happened there was Nancy Drew had a boyfriend, um, which I can't remember his name, but they would just kiss. And that was like for
Yeah.
us, we were like, oh my God. So,
Like magic.
yeah, so we used to always borrow Nancy Drew books for the love story,
Oh
but
my
obviously
God.
Nancy Drew was more than that, right? Like Nancy Drew was just
Yeah.
like, solving mysteries, and we're like, oh, we don't care about mysteries.
Yeah.
So we just want to say, we just want to know what happens in that love story.
Oh wow. But would it be the same boyfriend for the series or
I don't know.
different boyfriends?
I haven't. No, I think they do break up. I think they do break up at some point. I remember they had like. Do you remember the Sweet Valley High? Did you guys have those? Or
I
no?
don't think I know the books, but I don't think I've
Okay.
ever read.
Yeah, so we
Nancy
did
Drew.
have the Sweet Valley High series as well, and then they removed it because I think the teachers kind of realized like, oh, everyone seems to be going towards these books. Like,
But who like do you think they go through these books when they like,
I
I don't know, does
know.
someone donate these books to the library or how does that
I
work?
have no. Well, right now in our schools in Australia, it's donations, and then the department would supply it. But I don't know how it was in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I was just like remembering, we used to just gather around a book and be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, they're kissing.
Yeah. But were you allowed to like, how you have all these English days and all this like,
Yeah.
talent shows and things
Yeah.
like that. But was it like, were you allowed to play like any song or dance to any song, or would they have any control over that as well?
From memory, I mean, we didn't really have any raunchy songs, just we had pretty like upbeat songs, but not really bad songs. I don't really remember if we had issues with it. I mean, I won't be surprised if there were people who were told to stop it because of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much experience with that. But man, like some
Yeah.
of the things our schools did, it's just like, are you joking?
So unnecessary.
So
Yeah,
unnecessary. I remember like this is a topic that I spoke to one of my close friends with recently. So, we have a brother's school back home, the sister school and brother school. So our brother school would have a walk, like the annual like a fair
Like a
or a
yearly
walk or
walk.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So some of the girls in my class would have brothers in that school. And this is when we were in like grade 7 or 8, we were like 12 or 13. So they would go for this walk and they would come to school and get in so much trouble by the teachers. And these teachers would specifically go for these walks to spy on the girls who were going for the walk. So they would come.
Would this be on a weekend?
It is on a weekend, yeah. So it's not.
Yeah, I can't remember if our school had a walk as well, but I can't remember if it was on a week. I think, yeah, it was on a weekend.
Would have been on a weekend, yeah. So they would get into so much trouble and they would come. Like, I had this very specific memory of this one specific teacher who would she was like, okay, everyone who went for this walk, stand up. I need to see you. And then she would just harass every single person who went for it, even if they went with their parents. And they're just like, Miss, like, I went because my brother was there. And she would be like, oh, I saw you, the way you were dressed, you were wearing heels. It's like what?
How jobless do you have to be on a weekend to go on a
To go
walk that's not
spy.
even like your school walk to
Yeah,
spy on other
to
kids?
spy on your students. Like, oh, it's hilarious. Like, thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, if I was in Sri Lanka and if I had a daughter, there's no way I would be sending my child to the same school that I went to.
Really?
There is no way. Because it was so.
But is it still like that, or do you think they have
I
changed?
have no. I feel like it would still be probably not as bad, but it would still be
Wow.
pretty bad. Like, they tortured us,
Right.
man. They really tortured us.
But I remember, because in our school we have like so the term that, the Sinhalese term is Aurudu Pola, which is like a New Year's, what do you call that? How
Like
do
a
you
fair,
translate that?
right?
It's
A
like
pola.
like a New Year's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
So you would have different stalls where people sell stuff and, like all kinds of stuff. But I remember one of my like guy friends at the time, his sister was going to our school. So he had come to this fair, and there's like one of the sections of this fair is a disco, whereas in the nursery auditorium they would hire out like a DJ, and you obviously have to get tickets to go in, and that's how they
Oh,
earn
okay.
money and all
Yeah.
of that. So this guy friend was like, he came into this and he was like dancing with us, and out of nowhere, like we were like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't I think we must have been like 15.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like, yeah, it was like 10 girls and one boy, to be honest. So we were just dancing. It wasn't even like, it wasn't like anything like, like sexy or anything like
You
that.
were
It was
not, like,
just
dirty
like we
dancing
weren't
with
even
him.
like holding hands. It was just, yeah, it was basically just talking to each other and
Oh,
like, I don't know,
God.
waving, or I don't know what we were doing, but we were so young and it wasn't anything, I don't know,
Yeah.
weird. But I remember all the kids were dancing. Like 15 minutes later, this teacher shows up and is like, "Who the hell are you?" This boy was like scared to death, and then she somehow like took his hand and like dragged him out of the
Oh, jeez.
this auditorium.
How was
I
this even
just
allowed?
like looking back at it, it's just like so funny. Like, but at the same time, you're like, why was there so much attention on this? Like, why was this such a big deal?
It's so dumb, right? Like, if you
Yeah.
think about it, it's so you like. I mean, we're obviously talking about the Sri Lankan context of school, but you're just basically taught to just be. It's all anti-boys, like anti-opposite
Yeah.
sex. Like you don't
Yeah.
look at boys, you don't talk to boys, you don't do
Yeah.
anything. No boyfriends, all that. But then, as soon as you finish school, then you go to university, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're meant to be friends with boys. You're supposed to work with boys. It's like sometimes for someone who's been through all that for like 18 years, or however many years you go to school, I don't know. It's like it's like a foreign creature. You're like, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, who is this person? This is why
Yeah.
I really believe in co-ed schooling, and I fully support co-ed schooling, because the world is co-ed. The world is not single sex,
Exactly,
So-
and you need to be comfortable around
That's
each
the
other.
thing. And the more you stigmatize having friendships with the opposite sex, the more it becomes kind of a, like a novelty, and that you want it. You just want what you can't have. That kind of thing. Whereas if
Yeah,
it's so
you need to
normal,
normalize it.
exactly, which is what it
Yeah.
is here. It's so normal.
Yeah.
And I
The girls growing up, they need to see for boys who they really are. Disgusting,
you say, girl.
unhygienic. Yeah, and then they would be like, "Oh, I really don't want to be friends with you."
Exactly. So basically, you go back to what your teachers actually want.
Yes. Yeah. If they had a taste of that, they'll be like, "Oh, they were right. I don't want to be friends with these." But no, I'm joking.
I know.
But yeah, I think, but that's why I think a certain population of these people find it so hard to like, talk to each other or
or
work with each other
integrate.
in work environments or in uni environments later
Absolutely.
on. So
They don't realize the damage it kind of does to someone. And I feel like this is mostly directed at girls. Like, I feel like boys' school teachers are not going to go to girls' school fairs and spy on their kids. That's not a thing. It's just,
they're not that jobless.
No, it's always the girls' school. That's how it happens,
Yeah.
because obviously boys
Yeah.
have special privileges in Sri Lanka. So,
Oh, of course.
so girls really struggle with that. And I personally know so
Yeah.
many people as well. But I mean, I personally didn't really have that issue, thankfully, because I had brothers growing up and I had.
But that's what I'm
male
saying. I
friends.
had two younger sisters.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
imagine, like, I don't think it was a big deal because I did have a lot of guy friends who, like, growing up because I went to, like, tuition classes and things like that. But at the same time, when you don't have
When you're not exposed to it, right?
yeah, you don't have a brother growing up, and people growing up go through all these different changes physically and mentally, and I think you need to experience that so you can empathize.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
With both male and female.
Yeah.
So that they understand what people go through physically and emotionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think I saw this TikTok, and this was South Australian school, I think, um, where a South Australian boys' school, I think it's in Adelaide, but I don't know what the school is
I
actually,
think I know
but
what you're talking about. They're going to be
yeah.
co-ed.
Yes, and all
Yes,
the parents were
I
protesting because
know.
they're like, how can they do that? It's like,
I wanted my grandson to
how
go
it
to this school.
yeah, I'm like, why are you crying over? And look, to be honest, and I still don't think this is like it that shouldn't be the case, but if a girls' school was going co-ed and the
Yeah.
parents were having this reaction, I somewhat understand.
Understand,
Although
yeah.
they need to, like, get a grip and,
Yeah.
look at the world
Yeah.
and adjust, but I do understand that reaction coming from a girls' school, but from a boys' school, I'm like, what the hell are you
It's
talking
so
about?
unnecessary. I feel like I saw that specific video you're talking about, and so many comments on it were saying, now, like, they want it to be a boys' school because then they can be excused for their locker room talk, where they can talk about, women and the boys' locker room talk. They can talk about it and get away with it when there's no girls involved. But the thing is, like, you can't have that locker room talk, period. That should not happen.
But
So
how is that an
exactly,
inclusive
it's not
environment
inclusive.
for boys who
Your
have
child.
trouble with their
Oh,
sexuality or who doesn't
absolutely.
identify as a, but how is that an inclusive environment?
No.
How is locker room talk an
Yeah.
inclusive environment for kids like that,
Yeah,
who's
exactly.
going through things?
Yeah, it's so
Pisses me
toxic.
off.
And I mean, it was a very small amount of people who were fussing about it, thankfully.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it shouldn't have happened at all because
Yeah.
we are in the 21st century. You can't be opposing
Yeah.
something like a co-ed school when I feel like
Yeah, and
single sex schools are now kind of becoming
yeah, it's just,
obsolete, for a
yeah,
reason.
and I think growing up with more like in a co-ed environment, maybe like boys could learn from, um, girls or other like females or whoever to be a little bit more emotionally intelligent or help
Absolutely.
improve their emotional
Yeah,
intelligence
absolutely.
because, we all know boys lack that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
interesting. But yeah, I thought that was very shocking
Yeah,
to
it's
see
just
that.
so dumb, honestly. I just
I was like,
couldn't,
we have
I
enough
couldn't roll
problems in
my
the world.
eyes. Yeah.
This is not a big deal.
Yeah. I shared it on my Instagram stories as well. I was like, really, is this a problem, guys? Like, come on. I'm sure you have bigger problems
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah.
But anyway, this,
Okay.
like, I feel like we didn't even cover any of the topics that we were planning on
That we wanted to.
Guys, I
Yeah,
swear.
but this is what
We've got a list
Yeah.
here. We never stick
But this
to
is
it.
what I like because this is what we wanted to do. We
That's
just wanted
true.
to have a chat and,
That's true.
let it flow and let the podcast take wherever we want to.
Yeah. I hope it's
yeah.
not boring, but yeah.
I think we discussed a lot of like very different things.
Different things, yeah.
But yeah, it
But
was a
maybe
really
next
fun
week we'll have
conversation.
something a little bit more serious. We'll try. We'll try not to get distracted to other topics.
That's true. Yeah, we'll keep a strict agenda.
Yeah.
Next,
No
next
promises,
podcast.
but we'll try.
Yeah, we'll try our best. But yeah, if there's any any topics that you would want us to talk about or you would like our opinions, our thoughts and views on, please comment. And then also please show some love to our Spotify,
Apple
podcast Spotify and Apple Podcasts. What do you call that? Is that a page? I don't know the technical terms, but
Okay, boomer.
account. But yeah, so
And
please show
I just
some
want
love
to
on those platforms.
Yeah, I want to highlight a comment that I saw on YouTube actually. Someone had said, generally this kind of talk would be considered gossip, but the fact that it's on this podcast is actually very interesting. So we are kind of, yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, that's so true. That's really nice. It's like we're kind of glorifying gossip and making it more kind of educational, I hope.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really
If
nice
someone
comment.
can learn something from it, and that's I think that's good.
And even if you don't, it's just you get to listen to our beautiful voices.
It's entertainment. It's light entertainment.
You guys get to listen to my cackle and look at all the funny faces that I make. I'm very sorry that I have to put you through that, guys. I'm very serious
But
about
I love
this.
them. I think that's the best part.
Every
Your
time,
expressive
every
face.
time I watch these videos, I'm like, what am I doing with my face? I'm so expressive. So I'm really sorry that you guys have to watch that.
I'm sure everyone loves it. I mean, I love it. I love all the
You're just being
you can
nice,
pause the
Desh.
video and you would have like a completely different face on
I
every
know, and I'm
frame.
like, oh.
I like it. But yeah, it's been fun, and thank you so much for everyone joining us
Yes.
on this podcast, on this episode. It's been a fun podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you in a
And
week.
thanks, Shanali.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining with me to talk about things.
My pleasure, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll see you next
I
week.
hope
then.
you have I hope everyone has a lovely week. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and wear your sunscreen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah. All
Take
right.
care,
See you
guys.
guys.
Bye.